What's up, everybody? Super pumped. Thanks for coming on the T8 Outdoors podcast. I got my buddy Sid here from Disabled Outdoorsman Utah. Become a good friend over the years, and they were able to put me on a tag. I got a mule deer this past hunting season, so I was pretty excited about that. But yeah, we're just gonna go and we're gonna talk about Disabled Outdoorsman Utah, what they're all about, how the process works. We're gonna share some stories, and hopefully you guys can acquaint yourselves with them, and we'll go from there. So Sid, thanks for coming on. If you could just
Hey,
tell everybody who you are, what you're doing, and how life is.
absolutely. Thanks, Derek. I'm happy to be here. It's good to see you. Yes, my name is Sidney. I'm in Eastern Utah, northeastern corner up in Vernal, and yeah, I love the outdoors. I've been doing it my entire life. It's something that was a relationship that I've had with my dad and with my grandpa, my uncles, my brothers, and I've absolutely loved it. I didn't wasn't extreme as I am in it then as I am now, and it's kind of ironic how that all came to be. Is when I was born, I would inherited a disease called Charcot-Marie tooth, and over the years, it would cause me to become. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. It caused me to lose muscles and deforming my feet, and it caused so many problems. And it would progress over time, and it slowly got worse and worse and worse. Eventually, it got so bad that I ended up losing my legs in 2015. So after that, like before that, I still loved to hunt, but it wasn't until after that did I really start picking up a bow and started learning how to hunt with prosthetics. And one thing that I noticed with prosthetics is, the deer and the elk and the birds and all that kind of stuff, they don't really care that you have prosthetics. They don't have any sympathy, or they don't make life easier or for them to be shot because you have prosthetics. And so it caused me to dig a little bit deeper and not so much think about, oh, woe is me. This animal, this is life is not fair. I actually have to actually push myself a little bit further. And when you do that, you become mentally stronger. You're not focusing on your limitations. And I'm not thinking about, my prosthetics of, dealing with the day to day struggles that entails. And so that's where the idea kind of came around, that this is something that could be shared with other people with disability, the medicine, so to speak, of the great outdoors. And was chatting with a buddy. His name's Weston, and he was a younger guy at the time. I think he was just right out of high school, maybe right starting college. But he was down in Texas, and he and I've just been messaging, on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, I'm, I kind of want to start a nonprofit organization called Disabled Outdoorsmen." I'm like, well, that sounds great. We kind of talked about it, and his backstory of Disabled Outdoorsman is he's got a cousin similar to my disease, and his cousin basically he had a lifespan basically with his disease. It was the doctor says he didn't have much longer to live, but he loved the outdoors. He loved hunting, specifically whitetail, and with the love of whitetail, the obsession that he had with it, it just kind of was a drive that allowed him to keep pushing forward through some of the struggles and the surgeries to stay alive. And he's lived longer than anybody could with that disease, and the doctors kind of compel it to the great outdoors and hunting. And so that's with his piece and kind of my idea. We talked about starting a nonprofit, but before that even happened, he's like, "Well, we would like you to be our first guinea pig, and being a disabled outdoorsman, a first kind of charity hunt, so to speak." And I says, "Oh, okay, this is a little stretch out there. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I booked a ticket to San Antonio, and they picked me up. I didn't know if I was going to get beat up or raped or whatever. It was all kind of out there. It's like I have no
The
idea.
old
This is just
internet
a weird,
friend.
yeah, no, yeah, all that. But they said come out into Texas and shoot a whitetail. I'm like, well, I've never shot a whitetail, being a Utah boy. That guy sounds like a lot of fun. You see that a lot on TV and all that stuff. And so I took a chance and got to meet the guys, got to meet Weston and TJ, and was just blown away with how awesome that experience was. In fact, I was able to shoot. You can kind of see in this picture. This is the whitetail I ended up shooting, just a toad, and it, was, I shot it with my bow, and it was really hard. It was a lot harder than I thought. I'll say this, whitetail are like mule deer, but on cocaine, just super twitchy and just paranoid about everything. So that was a great experience, and that's kinda where the birth of Disabled Outdoorsman started, and we kind of started doing some hunts, and we tried to do one in Utah. And as we started growing in Utah, we decided that we are going to start a chapter and separate it. We still work with each other closely on some programs, but we decided to separate and start our own chapter with our own 501(c)(3) and just kind of focus on Utah, some of the big game, and then that way he could still do Texas. So that started around 2019, and so that's when we founded it. And since then, we brought on some great additions, such as Mike Felice. He's now still with us. He's my longest guy, besides me, that's been with Do Utah. And then we've had a lot of volunteers that have helped over the years, and board members that have contributed, and it's been a great organization. We've just kind of kept that same mentality, is that we want people to have a good experience in the outdoors. And as we've gotten bigger and grown, we've had lots of opportunities with the state to get some nice tags, such as the CWMU tags, which are very high sought after, and a lot of times they're once in a lifetime opportunities. And we able to get some of those and contributed, and have the lease operators actually run the hunts for us, since they guide and know the land. So that was actually an example of the hunt that you got to go on, was one of those CWMU tags. But we also have, we do a lot of tags here around Vernal. We always look forward to helping kids, or people in their first experience on an animal. We enjoy thoroughly teaching people hunting, and I don't know if they have a goal that they want to kill an elk or a cow, or pronghorn, or just the experience to shoot one. We have anywhere from high mountain hunts that we've done, public land hunts, private land hunts, or just what we call a depredation tag, where someone just wants some elk meat in the freezer. We sometimes get some of those, and that's been a lot of success. We'll do anywhere from 20, 25 of those hunts for that. And then we also do some events. So we've done things such as ice fishing events, where we'll do kind of like a seminar and a little bit of a competition, where we've gone to about 4 different lakes. But this year, unfortunately, we're not doing one again. This has got canceled again because the weather out here in Utah is the warmest to date for this time of year. So there's just very, very few lakes that are safe enough to get a lot of people on to do an event. Another thing that we've done is a big ice fishing event. Excuse me, sorry, shed hunting event. Sorry. And we do that with the youth. That's been our biggest, probably our most grand event that we do, where we'll get anywhere from 20 to 30 disabled kids, and we'll get donated sheds throughout the state, throughout the country. Even we'll got some sheds from outside of the U.S. and get delivered to us, and we'll place them on these different locations that we got permission to hunt on, and they'll go and shed hunt and find some, antlers, and it's a really cool experience. Have a barbecue. We invite the families to come, and it's just kind of a good family get together experience, that these kids could collect sheds and get to do all that. So that's that's kind of a us in a nutshell. What we've done. I could tell you some numerous of different stories of beautiful experiences that we had, but that is Do Utah, or Disabled Outdoorsman Utah, in a nutshell.
I love it. Yeah, I seen a lot of these photos coming out of these events, especially the shed hunts with all these kids, and just to get them that peace of mind, and the parents, just being able to like relax their shoulders and just enjoy themselves, because they say, all disabilities are different, but they're all hard in a way. So I love the post media that you guys put out, all the videos and photos and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Well, appreciate it. Yeah, that's one of the things that we're trying to get better on, is to getting some of that out there. We have a lot, a lot. In fact, this year we had quite a bit of hunts that just the individual doesn't want. their pictures shared, and I get that. We wanna be respectful, and some landowners don't want any pictures shared just because if, if they say, "Oh, so and so got to hunt there," then they get bombarded by everybody, and
Right.
so we do a lot under the table, and Wes, we love social media. It's a great tool to kind of network, but, I mean, we're not there to get us all these likes and so forth. We do hope to inspire people, and, we've had a lady that actually helped us recently with our social media to try to keep up on a few things and kind of some events. But yeah, the shed hunt is one of the most popular that people love the most, and it is cool. Like you said, the parents have a good time, and a lot of times the parents don't care about hunting. They don't like hunting, but their kids love hunting, and so this is a great way that they could still be involved and not have to kill an animal, but the kids love it, and we have some where the kids have been doing this for 5 years with us, and they still have the same antlers. So it's pretty special.
I love it. So let's if someone is listening to this or watching this and they want to get a hold of you in order to possibly go on a hunt or a shed hunt, how do they get a hold of you and what's that process?
Yeah. Well, we for the shed hunt, we have actually an open enrollment it's for the youth though, but if you're wanting to volunteer as an adult, contribute antlers, we're always open to that or come to the event to help out. Those are all huge things, whether it be cleanup or help cooking or help somebody in the field to find the sheds. And that's one way that they've done that. And also by coming to the events, it's given us an opportunity to meet certain individuals. And this is gonna be to be all, honest, we in reality, as a nonprofit organization, the hardest things about running a nonprofit and then just with, is compared to a lot of things in life is money and time. And sometimes we're great we have great, people that donate, but then we also don't have enough time to take everybody out. And that's like one of my, wishes with this organization. I wish I could say, well, what's your dream hunt? Whatever it is, we'll take it. And sometimes we can accommodate that, but there's also sometimes we struggle. And so we're trying to find sometimes, by coming to our events, we love to have to get to know people. For example, Derek, by you coming to our the expo, getting to know us, that was a huge thing like that we got to see Derek in action, and he's a legitimate, person that we love to be in the outdoors. And we've also sometimes it's just how it is, and I would say every nonprofit that does what we do, they will contest. I've talked to many, many that there are some individuals that like to take advantage of these kind of charity events, and they're they don't have any interest in gaining from the hunt. They just wanted to someone to do it for them, and we don't really work that way. We really want the experience of the medicine for those people and get a chance to see all that. So there are, we've had a couple that we've had to, you know, they just we just feel like this
Right.
is not the best program. We just think there's lots of opportunities out there, but we try to make it cater to certain individuals we feel like that would be a good fit for the specific hunt or a good fit for the landowner that's offering this wonderful experience. Because to be honest, there's some tags that we have been getting that were $20,000 tags, and then to find that individual that fits that criteria can is not just somebody that signs up. So coming out, meeting us, going on our website too, so we have your information, so we can let you aware of our programs are great. So we do have a meet us, a join us or type of thing. So you're on our email list that you could sign up for. Follow our social. We'll be at the Hunt Expo. Come out and meet us. Those are probably the best ways that we are able to kind of get to know who's interested in hunting. We don't want to force anything on anybody, but there's a lot of people that would love to go. So
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from on, people wanting to abuse the system and just get a free hunt out of it. But I've seen a lot of these hunts that you do put people on, like there you're their only avenue, of
oh yeah,
accomplishing a dream, accomplishing a goal of that caliber, and it's legit. Like it's like what you guys are doing is like really helpful. I've been able to um talk with several 501(c)(3) since I started this podcast, and they're all doing the same thing. You know what I mean? And a lot of them tailored to, like children and stuff like that. But you
Yeah.
guys are helping out all over the spectrum, so it's really appreciative. Coming from someone who was blessed to receive one of these tags for you guys, and I know the deer that I got. That's never gonna get out of my head. That
It
that scene and that whole scenario and the way everything unfolded and the entire aftermath, like, the entire
yeah.
month later aftermath was just mind-boggling, like,
I I couldn't believe what happened, like, when you first told me what happened, I was like I was still confused, I'm like, "Wait, so it blew up? Or wait, how?" I didn't even know it was possible, so it took me a second, and then when I saw the video, I was like, "Oh my gosh." That was pretty cool, and then how it went viral was pretty cool too. I thought that was special, and
Yeah,
I'm glad you had a good time. I know the weather for you was rough. Like, that was there I wish we had I wish there was a way that we could predict the weather sometimes, but that was a
right.
cool hunt that you got to do.
No, yeah, super cool. The landowner was incredibly gracious, right, just a righteous guy, cool property, and the trees in the middle of October were just in full
Oh, yeah.
bloom, bright yellow, bright orange, just driving on. There's several times where we're driving through the mountains, and I'm like, "Hey, can you just stop? I just want to take a picture, dude." Like
Yeah.
I need to remember I need to remember this scenario for the rest of my life, and it's just really cool, and it's just that's how you meet like so many right on people in life. You know what I mean? Is just networking and just putting yourself into positions where you never know what you're gonna get out of it. But the more people you meet, the more opportunities you're gonna have, and that's something I try to promote on this channel a lot because a lot of people with disabilities tend to shell up, and tend to hide and tend to not want to put themselves out there. And you guys, if you're hearing this and you're one of them, it's like you're missing out on so much. And
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate of social media. If you're trying to get out there and trying to find a hunt and stuff like that, is you don't have to physically talk to somebody. You're just typing on your phone or on your computer. You know what I mean? And like talking to them, like, "Hey, I'm interested in hunting this. How can I do this? XYZ, how, who, what, where, when, why," and the outdoorsman community is just so loving and so caring. You're eventually gonna reach somebody who's gonna be like, what, I'll take you out. I got some land out back, you bring, and then you can get out there and you get in the woods, and then just getting in the woods, not even harvesting an animal, it's just getting outdoors, getting in the woods, and getting your mind off of your disability and the everyday day-to-day life is incredibly liberating.
It is mind, healing to me. It heals my soul just to do that, and I honestly, I think it's really great for your well-being to go out there and accomplish something. Can I share a quick story?
Please, we got time
So,
for sure.
yeah, I one of those things about the medicine of healing is and we've seen the experiences where it saved lives. I won't say his name, but we had this particular hunter that was struggling mentally with his injury. It was a pretty kind of a accident that you would nothing out of the ordinary as far as traumatic, but it was just something small that caused him to be a paraplegic. And he was a provider, a very manly man. And when he lost that, he thought he lost, his ability to be this provider, and it affected him mentally, where he was going down a dark path to that, as you know, could lead to other awful things. But we got him introduced into the outdoors. We did a dove hunt, and then we eventually got him on an antelope, and he made a shot on an antelope at 400 yards in the wind, and it was perfect. And he got up there, and he all got lit up, and he was super excited. And I think and it's, I live in the West, so it's not like maybe I've taken advantage, but it was an antelope. I was like, oh, it's just an antelope, nothing to get all emotional about, but it was exciting to him. Like, it was just as if he killed a giant 400-inch elk. Like, it was he was ecstatic, but I didn't understand why he was excited until he saw the meat. And so we took it back to my truck, and I was skinning it and putting it in some quarters so he can take it home to his butcher, or butcher himself, so in his bag form in a cooler. And it that was what it was. It was the meat. Is it was to come home, provide for this family, bring it on the table, and it ended up being a life-saving, changing moment for him where he did a complete turnaround in his attitude, and he started, helping other disabled hunters with adaptive equipment and stuff like that. It just kind of changed it, and that was again just from changing from the meat, which obviously is one of the joys of hunting, that he can now contribute, thinking, this injury is now defining me, and no, he says I can change it now, and he's just kind of a perspective thing. But that again, that's one of the cool things about the outdoors that are amazing.
100%. Yeah, from my since I started hunting around 13 years ago, I mean, most people when they start out hunting, they're like, "Yeah, I want massive animals for the wall." And don't get me wrong, that's cool. Yeah, you have stuff to talk about and friends come over and memories and all that. But now that I'm like 13, 15 years deep into it, like I want a full freezer of
Yeah.
organic, solid, good meat. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
I would still love, a trophy for the wall, whatever that may be. But if I like this past year, I went down to Texas, and they have pretty bountiful tags down there, and I was able to get a couple does and a pig off
Yeah, I
my
saw that.
my buddy's land, and my freezer's full, and I'm completely happy, man. I'm content, and it's that whole meat thing, being able to provide. Like I'm able to give not just me, but my girlfriend. She loves the organic meat. My dad, my friends. Like I live in Southern California, and a lot of my friends fish for giant bluefin tuna down here. They can't get deer meat, so we're constantly just bartering and trading. They'll go lobster diving. I'm like, here's a pound of, or here's a couple pounds of burger, and they'll shoot me a couple lobsters, and
That's a good trade.
yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing when you don't feel like just like such a burden, because being with certain disabilities, you know what I mean? Like they do need help more than others, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like having that sense of independence and that sense of just strength and mental strength, and not waking up regretting the day, and wishing you were just sleeping instead of going out there and making doing stuff and actually living life. And yeah, I mean, it's harder, it's harder to deal with it. I'm speaking for myself here. Being a paraplegic is tough, I mean, my legs they're half my body weight, and I'm chucking those twigs around gets tough, and it's a pain in the butt sometimes. But what I've learned over the years is just keep going. Just it's a domino effect, you do one thing, and then it leads to another, and then it leads to another, and you come up on a problem, you solve this problem, you come up on that problem, you solve that problem, and you just go down the path of life, and next thing you know, you've had a highly successful, productive day. And it's just, yeah, being able to do that for your family and stuff like that. So it's cool. I'm glad that guy was refreshed, and and it brought him out of whatever hole he was going down. But it's a good thing. It's a good feeling, man.
Yeah, no, it was. It's one of my favorite because I see him from time to time, and you can just tell he's just positive attitude from where he was.
Right. So one
Yeah.
thing I also want to touch on, since this podcast is tailored to people with disabilities, a lot of people with disabilities that I found, you know, paraplegics, quadriplegics, whatever it may be, is diet and fitness. And it gets, getting out there and exercising, and just movement, and just getting the motivation to get out there, and finding the discipline to keep doing it day after day after day is tough on a lot of people. Can you touch on your journey from having a little extra love to being a sculpted god in Utah? So let me hear. Let's hear a little bit about this as a double amputee who
Uh,
who now
uh,
does weightlifting competitions and fitness competitions. Man, touch on this.
oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to tell my wife that one. She's gonna get a kick out of this. Having being physical fit is very important, I think, because for one, it's something to do in the off season, and there's lots of times where you know, it can be the difference of success there. But I wouldn't say don't get in shape for hunting also alone. It's a great perk and it's a great thing to have as a goal. I would say do it for yourself and for the longevity. Because when you're healthy, you're thinking clearly, your mind is sharp, and you have this built-in mental strength when you're dieting and you're staying on a health conscious thing. So it comes down to toughness because you'll get tested, not just in hunting, but throughout life. For me, I haven't, I guess, prior to losing all the weight that I did, I was, up and down. My disease definitely kind of inhibited me at the time because of my muscles. And then when I lost my legs, I started running more and I started leaning up by running. I did an Ironman and it was just a big goal of mine to do something like that. And then I let myself go a little bit, got a little bit bigger, and I just said, you know what, I need to focus on something long term, not just a race. And so it's like I want to focus on my health and just get really, particular with it. And so I it's not my type of person to do a bodybuilding show. I just think like this was a good test of what my goal is and how I can reach it. And so I put it out there. I did my research. I started working out. Diet was, people think that I got super, super strong when I did this competition. And really, before I started doing the cut, is what you call it. I never got any stronger after that. I just lost a lot of fat and the muscle started to show up. Because it was all underneath all that jello stuff. But I've tried to stay consistent. I have some goals coming into 2026 that will give me some more boost into focusing, dialing in, and becoming obsessed with my eating. But yeah, I just feel like mental strength is equivalent to your physical strength, and the more you can focus on that, you're stronger mentally you're going to be. And you just got to do it based off of you. Like you can't gauge your physique off of how well mentally you're strong. Like some of the most strongest people I met are not in the best shape. Like we've gone with lots of paraplegics. And one of the things I didn't realize when we started this organization dealing with paraplegics is that you guys have a hard time regulating your body temperature. And so a lot of guys don't realize it, but they're just start shaking out of nowhere. And I'm like, holy, what's wrong? I says, I can't, my body doesn't know that I'm cold. And I didn't even know that. Blew my mind. And then the same thing with amputees. When I've dealt with amputees, the harder it is for them with their stumps has to do a lot with their weight. So the bigger you are, the harder it is to use a prosthetic. And that's just science because the bigger you are, the more weight you're putting onto your prosthetic. And so that's just something that's also helped is if you can lean up, it helps with your prosthetic, and you got to stay up on top of taking care of your stump, whether it be skin issues or making sure your prosthetic fits great. One of my things that I learned the hard way is when I lost 60 pounds to do this bodybuilding competition, my prosthetics didn't fit anymore because I had lost so much weight. So I had to zero in on that. Otherwise, you know, I'm lean and mean, but I can't walk with my legs don't
Right.
work. So
That's cool, man. Yeah, I love it. I'm a big gym guy. I love going to the gym. I like I'm not trying to like go out there, get big, get massive, you know what I mean? But just going to the gym, getting your heart rate up, and the camaraderie too at the gym. Like the people at the gym, like they see, I'm speaking for myself here, they see, a guy in a wheelchair and a disability, and and I can't reach something. People are always like, "Hey, man, let me grab that for you." I'm like, "Hey, cool, right on." Or let me spot you. Like, you need a spotter? Yeah, I need a spotter. Absolutely, please help. And they're just people are just willing to go out, and like the whole gym atmosphere is a lot. It's a lot like the outdoorsman atmosphere, because
yep.
there's a lot of people who are just super stoked to see you succeed. See you get stronger, see you get leaner, meaner, and that's the same thing with the outdoors world. Like people want to see you have a goal, accomplish that goal, and then just go through the sorry,
Bless you.
go through the just the day-to-day life of, doing what you're doing. But yeah, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't do it just to get physically healthy for hunting. It's mentally healthy for those days that you're not hunting, and like if you are on a bad day, go to the gym and put up a little bit more weight, you know what I mean? Put a little bit more on the racks, and it's super liberating and super loving. I'm and then it gets addicting too. Like you'll go and you'll work out and then you miss a day or you miss 2 days and your body's like, I need to go work out. I need to get back in the gym. I need to
Yeah.
free myself, you know what I mean? And then like you said, like eating and diet is just the diet's 80% of the whole thing, you know, and you can't pumping yourself full of ice cream and jello and gunk all the time, you know, but nothing wrong with that stuff here and there. But if that's like being part of your diet but when you start leaning into like proteins and, you know, regulating your carbs and all that, and that becomes addicting too. That becomes a whole science project that you love to figure out and you love to go with. And I'm speaking for myself here. I keep saying we, but I'm saying Derek DeMunn here. But I love the gym, love my friends at the gym, and you know, just the people behind it who are pushing you to be a better person than you were yesterday.
Yeah. No, you nailed it on the head. There's so many correlations and comparisons to the hunting. I would agree with you so much with hunting and the gym. You know, because gym people, a lot of people, I mean, and same with hunting is when you're first into it, you're kind of intimidated and you think that, you know, you're going to get judged or you're doing it wrong. Really, especially if you're talking to the right people, if you're new to it or if you have a disability, there's a lot of hunters and there's a lot of people at the gym that want to help you. It's their pleasure, honestly. I, when we deal with volunteers, there a lot of times they get more joy out of the hunt than the actual hunter because they just love to help. And that's just, you know, that's I feel like that's a Christ-like attribute that's in our DNA is to serve our fellow men. And so that's one of the things I love about the gym is that people are there and they love to help. And when you go to the gym or you go out in the field and you have a disability, you'd be surprised how many people you are helping just by being there. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and say, "Oh, Sid, you're an inspiration, or what you're doing is amazing." And I'm like, "That's great." And I didn't realize that that made their day. That really they could be going through some shit, and they're just all of a sudden been healed in that just by seeing something, you know, such as a disabled person trying to do stuff the best they can and without complaints, where they are probably struggling and they are like, wow, what do I have to complain about when this guy has got it figured out and they find a way to change their life over it.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and it's like people are like, "Oh, you're such an inspiration." I'm like, I'm just I'm living life, you know what I mean? Like I'm not an inspiration. I got to do what I got to do in order to survive. You know what I mean? And a lot of people like don't realize that, but you do have it is a big, you know, look in the mirror type situation for a lot of people because even as a paraplegic, I realize like it could be a lot worse, dude. Like you know, I've seen some pretty bad, like when I was going through my workman's comp case after I got hurt, my lawyer said he had another client. It was a kid not it was like 19 years old, brand new job. Like 1 week on the job, fell through a skylight, and now all he can do is move his eyeballs. He broke his neck so high up, all he could do is move his eyes, and he's on a breathing machine and just stuff like that. And it sucks to see and it sucks to hear, but it could always be worse, you know. Like life could always throw different scenarios at your life, but it's just be thankful for what you have, and if you're going out there and make the most of it. You know, you only get one shot at this. Don't let it pass you by. You know,
Mhm.
you can grow into the person you would be proud of, you know, looking at grow into the person the 12-year-old kid would never have thought of being able to accomplish. 12-year-old you know, like if your life is you're going, I'm going on a complete rant right here, but I'm fired up. So y'all gotta listen to that because it's my podcast. But it's I love I just get out there and just do stuff that other people would think is impossible for you to do. Like get out there and enjoy life. Life's short. Get out there and enjoy it.
Amen. Amen.
So while I got you on the line here, I'm just going through your Instagram, man. Can you touch on this Axis hunt you went earlier this year? That thing's a giant. I wanna hear the backstory to this.
Yeah, yeah, that was something that blew my mind. So, this was a hunt that I won, and I went with a couple other guys with Mountain Ops. There are other winners, and there was some hunting celebrities, and so to speak. But we we went down to Texas, and this has been the second time I'm from Texas. This is actually not too far from where I went with Disabled Outdoorsman. But I've never have hunted access. I've never seen an axis deer before, and so this was just all very new to me. And so when I got the invitation to go out, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And I talked to the outfitter. He's like, yeah, it's not like hunting mule deer. They're like the size of a mule deer. They're a little shorter, but their bodies are big. They taste delicious, and you're gonna love it because it's during the rut. I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, sweet." It's crazy that they're rutting in May, and we get there, and because of my work and stuff like that, well, I was doing a public speaking event out in Salt Lake, and so I had to take the late flight in, and I didn't arrive until 11 o'clock at night at deer camp. And when I got there, it was dark, everybody was asleep, and I heard what sounded like a cougar growl. It was just this loud growl. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was crazy. It was weird. So, what the crap? There's freaking cougars everywhere because you hear one from a distance and you hear another one from a distance. It's just not like an elk call or a red stag call. It was close to a red stag, I guess, but it was, their mating call. It was their bugle type of thing. They call it a roar, and, it was intense. It sounded like a big old nasty animal, like, wanna eat you. So I came in and there the outfitter was there and the guide, and he was telling me they're kinda laughing because it's like, "Oh my gosh, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard." And, I just kinda sit there and listen to him, and that was so cool. And, the next morning is when opening day started, and we kinda separated into different areas. And I was thinking, Texas, you just kinda drive around and shoot stuff, right? Because it's just, public land, or excuse me, private land, and do what you want. But no, we were hiking through rocks and cactuses, and it was a struggle, just with the prosthetics. My biggest issue is uneven ground. And we walked all day and didn't see anything that was of age class. Like, where we were hunting, they had a specific goal that it had to be a certain age, 7 years old, which is great. And we saw some small bucks and nothing really to, look at too long. Beautiful animals. They're orange, brown orange with these white spots that are just absolutely gorgeous. One of the guys harvested that night, and then we went out the second day and we saw a couple nice bucks that were not on the property that we could hunt. And so we were kind of trying to figure out a game plan for another spot. And the guy says, like, let's go down south and we're going to try another unit, but the terrain's really difficult. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm down for a hike. And we went down there and I started hiking uphill. And I was like, what the crap? We're in Texas. This is a mountain. And we get up on this big old ridge and we just started watching this herd kind of move around. And we saw a nice buck in there, but we could never get a shot because Texas, there's just cactus and everything thorny, these
Everything tries to
thorny
kill
and
you.
yeah, yeah, just you don't wanna fall down. You fall down, you're gonna fall down in the cactus, or you're gonna fall down in a Russian olive, like this, thorny things. And it was starting to get, that last hour of light, and so they was like, "Well, let's go to the top of this mountain, or this hill, and then we'll work our way down." As soon as we got into this top of this hill, about 1,000 yards down, we saw about 4 giant axis bucks, just giant. And I was like, "Holy crap," you could tell they were bucks just from that far away. So we decided to close the distance to a few hundred yards to get within shooting range, and we kind of kneeled down. And, as soon as I saw the buck that I shot was the first one, it just caught my eye and my heart sunk, my butthole puckered. It was one of those moments like, "Oh my gosh, that is so cool." And in that group, and he was in velvet, and I thought that was cool, but the other bucks were hard horned, and the guides we looked at each one of them, and they were all trophy bucks. They were all shooters, and, the guy's like, the one on the end is the widest and has the deepest caudals, which are basically they're the 3rd point as you come in. So you have your front, and then you have the sides that come out, and he says, "That one would score the highest." And I was like, "Okay," and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and then my scope just kept going back over to the original buck that sunk my heart, and I just said, "Hey," I was like, I don't wanna over do anything wrong here as far as this is your guys' access and stuff like that. Do you care which one I shoot? Like, you want me to shoot the biggest one, or are you okay if I shoot one that personally feel a connection with, I guess. It was kinda
Yeah.
sounds cheesy. And they said, "Shoot whatever one you want, man. Just all are studs." So I shot the one in velvet, and they were just ecstatic, and it ended up being as they got closer, he's like, "I misjudged. This is way bigger than I thought." And it got there, and it was just this giant it had a flyer, it was heavy, and it had giant caudals, and it was a huge, tall frame, and I was ecstatic. Like, this is the biggest class animal I've ever shot. Like, I was blown away. And we go back to camp, and the other guys had filled their tags, and they were kinda jealous of my buck because it was the biggest, and trying to be, I guess, modest about it. I'm like, "Oh, shucks, guys, thanks. Yours is great too," and, I was happy. Well, we're out there skinning it, and the owner comes in, and he's, talking to his guys, and it's like, "Hey, Sid, you wanna come drink with us tonight?" I'm like, whiskey, or what are you talking about?" And they're like, "Yeah, oh man, we got lots of whiskey. We're gonna drink. This is a great buck. We're gonna have some shots and stuff." And, my faith, I don't drink, and so I says, "Oh, thank you, but no thanks. I appreciate it." I go to bed, and these guys that are out there working, are helping this whole process. They're like, "Sid, I don't think you realize what you shot. I don't think you realize how the quality of this buck." It's like, "No, I'm what do you mean? I'm ecstatic." I'm like, "I know you're happy, but you just I don't think you understand." I'm like, "Well, I'm excited, and things were great, and we got the buck in the freezer and everything." So I go off to bed, and I can hear these guys drinking and partying all night. Like, it's just loud. And the next morning we still have one more hunter to fill his tag, and everybody gets up, and they're all hungover. They're just not hungover bad, like, they're still functional and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but you could tell they had a good old night. And I was like, "Man," it's like, "Sid, you should have partied with us. You had" and like, "Oh, no, I'm good. I'm not, partier kinda guy." And one of my buddies that was there, that's very well knowledged in access bucks, he goes, "Sid, I still don't think you realize what you shot." I'm like, "Okay, tell me what you think this buck is in relevance to an animal I'm familiar with. Let's say mule deer. I know mule deer. What would you say this is a score on a mule deer? Like a 170, 180 class?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "You're saying this is like a 190, maybe 200 class mule deer?" He's all like, "No, you shot like a 240-inch mule deer." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, now I'm feeling bad not drinking with you guys. I should have had that party." And so I guess I just was very naive of or haven't seen that many cases. So I definitely got spoiled, and I would have been happy with any of those animals. It's just that one right now there just spoke to me. There's just the way he had a little cheater, and he was very symmetrical, and just the way he carried himself. That one just was the one. So that was probably the funnest hunt I've been on well, 2025. And I was absolutely ecstatic. I look forward to driving to Texas to go pick him up. Hopefully he fits in my car.
Yeah. No, I'm looking on your Instagram right now. I'm looking at him, and it's just giant. Did you tape him out? How tall did he go?
34 is what they ranked him. So that is what this is Perennial Outfitters, which is their place. And like I said, they focus on high quality, older age class animals for aoudad. And so, if you're wanting to shoot a lifetime access or aoudad, that was the biggest buck they shot that year.
Yeah,
So
absolute
I was
giant,
pretty.
and he's in velvet too.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in velvet.
Beautiful.
So, and I'm excited. The taxidermist is the same one that did the whitetail, and I love the detail of it. So I'm excited. I think this will be the only animal my wife will allow in the house because I made I paid a little extra to have some pillows made out of the rest of his hide because of those beautiful spots,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna try to buy, like a throw tablecloth over one of the side tables, and so hopefully she'll allow me because it's just so pretty, just
Right.
their that maybe she'll let me hang in the house. Otherwise, I have all my mounts in my office at work, and as much it's nice 'cause get to look at them every day, but I just think it'd be nice to have one in the front room of the house, but my wife doesn't like mounts, that's her thing.
I get
Doesn't
you.
wanna
I
look
get you.
want the eyes, I think it's the eyes that bug her.
Yeah, yeah, but no, those Axis bucks. So I go down to Texas, every year after hunting, and yeah, those Axis roars are super intimidating. Like you said,
Yeah.
it sounds like a cougar. I've been hunting before in southern Arizona, and I've had mountain lions pop off and stuff like that, and it sounds exactly like it's like, and I'm
Ex
sitting there and it's like dark and I'm waiting for pigs to come in the dark. I'm like, should I be out here? I got a
Oh,
firearm
yeah.
on me. Praise God! Like something's out there that's gonna come and eat me, dude. But that's just access deer. So
It does sound intimidating, and I'll tell you what, like, I would love to go back to Texas, not necessarily shoot a buck, but to even shoot a couple does. The access meat is in this I feel like this is blasphemy, so I'm gonna not stand near a window so I don't get struck by lightning here. Access meat to me edges over elk meat. That's really
same
hard to
deal.
say, and it maybe because I'm so used to elk meat, because I honestly like elk over beef. But when I had access, I was like, "Wow, this is phenomenal, phenomenal meat. It is so delicious." Whitetail's great as well, but not I put access so far has been well, I've had some Nalgai. A guy, brought some from Africa, some Nalgai that was really good. But I would say Axis, Nalgai, and then elk, just right below. But after that, then you have your whitetail and your antelope, and that's just me. Some guys put
Yeah.
antelope as their top, and some guys put elk as their top, or
I'm
so
an
I
antelope
do.
guy.
Oh, don't get me wrong. An antelope is phenomenal, especially if you get a nice lean cut and it's
Yeah.
prepared the right way. When I was serving a Mormon mission in Montana. We ate antelope all the time, and a lot of times people would donate meat to us, and it was antelope. And then sometimes it was not prepared well, had hair in it, or was shot while it was out, not cooled off properly.
Right.
And so every time I eat antelope, I get a little bit of it's like a PTSD where I'm just a little bit
Flashback.
hesitant. I'm like, do I really is this it's close enough to enjoy antelope.
I get it. No, yeah, and I've had access meat as well too, and it's absolutely phenomenal. But what you said earlier about the pillow covers and stuff like that, like the property I shoot at, the lodge, the homeowner has an axis hide just over the back of his couch, and it is just incredibly beautiful. Like they're
Mhm.
so pretty. So I could 100%, and we all like to use as much as the animal as possible, so being able to do that is yeah, I'm a firm believer in those access pillows, whatever you need, like, don't let any of that hide go to waste. Beautiful animals.
Yeah, they are really cool. They are. And then when you see their faces, just the details of they have this dark brow, and their antlers are really cool. They remind me of like a raghorn elk. They just kind of branch off like that. They kind of look on those things, but they're just cool, and they're very smart too. They have incredible eyesight.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and they have the mentality kind of like a whitetail, like anything that's off, they're gone. I mean, their natural predators are the tiger. They come from India, and so they have this, DNA that they're very, very twitchy, very smart. It's kind of funny. They feel safe in the open. A lot of times they don't come out and hide in the shadows like you see other mule deer do. They like to come out in the open in the hot sun. And so it's kind of weird. When it's hot, they like to come out. And like I said, it's weird that they rut in the spring or late spring, early summer.
Yeah, when I hunt in Texas, it's more later into the year, like November, December, so you're not seeing very many axis. You'll have axis buck or access does, and they'll or bucks. You know, they'll come in randomly to the feeder, but they're not very active whatsoever. But the landowner, he'll go and he'll send me screenshots of his cell cam, his trail camera out there, and middle of the summer, 115 degrees out. There's a whole herd of them just there, just day after day after day after day. It's they love that hot weather.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
it was
Yeah,
pretty
that's
cool.
crazy. They're cool
Pretty cool
animals.
animal, man. But
Yeah,
Sid,
Texas is special. I have yet to shoot an aoudad. That's on my list to do that one.
beautiful country for sure.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your time, brother. We're coming up here on an hour, and I like to kind of keep it
Yeah.
at an hour. I could keep
Well,
talking. We know
thank you, man. That went by fast. You
it
talk
did,
about hunting, man. What I'm
right?
passionate about. It goes by fast. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm glad we connected, and I appreciate your patience with me and my airheadness sometimes. So
No
thank you.
worries, buddy. No worries. Yeah, it's a I just hope that the right people, you know, with a disability, or the right people, not even with disability, but the people who have eyes to see and ears to hear, this podcast will hopefully it'll enlighten some people, give some people some wisdom, and hopefully they can reach out to Do Utah, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Wait, look forward to it, man. We'll look forward to hearing this too and sharing it. So I appreciate you doing that.
Awesome, brother. But at the end of every podcast, I like to lift up a word of prayer, just to give God all the glory. You know, without Him, I wouldn't be here. I don't know where I'd be, but it wouldn't be here trying to help other people. So I'm just gonna lift up a quick word of prayer, if you guys don't mind.
No,
Father God,
absolutely.
Father God, thank you so much for the blessings you give us, Lord. Thank you for the love and the kindness that you show to us, God. Thank you for Sid and his heart, Lord, to start Do Utah, Lord, and it's been incredibly beneficial, God, to so many people in this world, including me. Thank you for the love that he has for his fellow man, Lord, and I just pray that you would bless him, bless this podcast, Lord God. Let it reach those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, Lord, that the people who really need to hear this, God, will hear it, Lord. And I just pray that your name be glorified in all things that we do here on earth, as is done as in heaven, Lord. And I just pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Right on,
Appreciate
brother.
that.
I
That's
appreciate
beautiful.
your time. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, likewise. We'll see you,
Yeah.
Derek.
Bye.
Bye.